Hello everyone and welcome to a efficient gym prep session once again. I'm prepping for session 37 of my campaign. It's a campaign of the game Symbaroum. We just finished A Blooming Vale, which is an adventure landscape in the module Wrath of the Warden, and we're moving towards Wrath of the Warden. But as you've seen in my previous videos, I decided to use a part of the story of Wrath of the Warden, a side quest of that story, and insert it right now before the Wrath of the Warden actually starts. I've got a little plan here, a few things to talk about. Mainly, this session is all about city intrigue. It's all about managing multiple NPCs, like a web of intrigue and interactions. So that means a lot of freestyle stuff because the characters can go wherever they want in the city. So I have to be sort of ready to react to that. I have NPCs that have agendas that I have to keep in my mind in the background. And I have some dramatic pacing to create for every session. You want to have a strong start. You want to have a strong finish. Doesn't always happen like that, but let's say that every session I try to have that, just to keep the interest level as high as possible all the time. I decided for this little prep to have myself a little gin and tonic. It's a gin, it's called Botanica, I think. It's from Iceland, if I'm not mistaken. It's very good. So for this prep session, I went back to paper. I did not use anything else than my notepad, just because it's easier to manage while I'm playing, because it's smaller, it's more compact. I can add notes to it. I don't have to rewrite anything. I don't have to sort out anything. I really wanted to do it as efficiently as possible. So I scanned, I took photographs of that notebook, and we'll be using that today. Before we start, I just want to show you that I completely busted my allotted time of 1 hour of prep for 4 hours of play. I actually worked on this, I think it was Saturday or Sunday, in my pajamas. It was, a slow Sunday morning. I had my coffee. So I just had a bit of fun doing this. What I hope, though, is that as I did last time, I put a bit too much time too last time, because I'm sort of fleshing out the next big arcs of this campaign. I think I'm going to be able to get a lot of mileage out of all this prep for my next sessions. I really think that I will be able to prep some subsequent sessions with maybe, I don't know, maybe like a very tight hour, maybe 45 minutes, which is good because real life happens, and I will start on a big, I'm also a film editor. I'm going to start editing a feature film, a documentary feature film next Monday. So I'll be working a lot. So my time is going to get a lot more precious. So I hope that this prep will help me get through that. So here we go. So I used 2 hours 35 minutes to do this prep, and let's go see what I did with that time. As always, I start with what's the first scene of the session? How do I want to start this session pretty strong? That's my main question. Then I always ask myself, what are my ingredients to create some tension? Some buildup in this session. And lastly, what tools do I need for that session? Are there, it could be anything. It could be lists of potions because they're going to the potion shop. It could be whatever you need for the content that you expect to have to deliver. So the first scene that I think I'm going to start with is the feast at Nighthome, where Lassifor and Yagaba live. So what I did is simply here wrote a little description of this room here, this place that they went to once already, but I decided to just map it out and have an idea of what's this space, because I think it will come back like in later parts of the campaign. Probably there'll be a few other scenes in that room. So I wanted to map it out, and I'm starting to have slowly building this idea of what is Night Home, because in my description in my document on Thistlehold that I created, where I have a memo of the different buildings and people of Thistlehold, I decided that there was on the roof at the middle here of Night Home, there's lawns and herbs that Yagaba has grow on the roof. So that's the central part of the home, and the two wings would be one wing for Lasifor and the other wing for eventual guests. So this wing here is the wing where Yagaba and Lasifor actually live. So I just drew this real quick. There's a big hearth that's in the back here. That's Lasifor's chair. A huge table. I really like, I wrote more than 2 paces wide by at least 10 paces long. It's probably more like 14 paces long. Made from one slab of an immense trunk, because the trees in Davokar are so big because they're ancient. So they can cut trees down, and the trees maybe like the width of a house, of a hovel. So it's that kind of tree. This little detail I really like, because it sort of keeps the idea that Davokar is close, that Davokar is ancient. It makes it a bit different than the regular medieval hall. It's just a little ambience thing. And so here I just wrote doors to corridor and locked doors to Lasifor's wing, to great meeting hall and great stairs. So on that side there would be like some wide open room, and maybe some open stairs that lead down to the entryway. And on the side here it goes to it's a servant passage that leads down to the kitchen that's under. Because when you have a hearth, that's a little trick for people that sometimes have a bit of trouble with maps. When you create a map, there's many maps in fantasy RPGs have the same problem, is that they're written by people that are used to draw dungeons maybe, and they don't think that a house or a castle or something like that. First, it's constructed in a very logical way. You tend to not put rooms without windows in the middle. Many maps show tons of rooms, like offices, bed chambers, in the middle of the map where there are absolutely no windows. I don't know if you've ever slept in a room with no windows, but it can get pretty stuffy, and it's not something people do. So that's one thing. Avoid that. If there has to be rooms in the middle, it'll be storage, it'll be safe rooms, it'll be, I don't know, something like that. Second thing, when you put a hearth, it's a chimney, and you can have hearths that open up on both sides of the chimney, both sides of the wall. And you need to have the hearths at the same place on the other levels above and below. So in this case, it's simply the idea that this hearth, there's another one under on ground floor. That's the kitchen, and that's where the food is coming from. And so there's stairs here on the side that lead down to the kitchen. Why am I talking about this? It's just because when you have a little, at least a vague idea of how a house or a castle works, if the players do anything funky, you can just map out stuff off the cuff. If you don't do that, and you really don't know at all what's behind, at least what basic things are in every area, it'll be hard to improvise. So by just having one map of one room and thinking of what is around it, it's sort of like a little sandbox. I can probably manage most of the things that are going to happen in that room just with this little map. It's much quicker than mapping the whole thing out. So what did I decide? First, I wanted to have always a 2-page spread for each scene. Try to get all the info on a 2-page spread so I don't need to flip. So I have all the people that will be there. So because this scene is a social scene. I do not use the special social rules in Symbaroum. The only thing that I do use that I really like is that in the social section of the rules, they say that certain people will be impressed by different stats, different abilities. So some people respect strong, some people respect cunning, some people respect resolute, and persuade is always there in any situation you can use persuade. So I really like that because it gives players that have characters that are not good in persuade a possibility to intervene in specific scenes, social scenes, because it's in their field of interest, or it's with people that respect things that they are good in, and that feels very realistic to me. So I do use that. I use it. I don't write anything down. I just improvise who is interested by what. I just look at the NPC, what kind of NPC it is, what should this person respect, and I just decide that in the moment. So it's really a quick ruling on a case-by-case basis. But the general idea behind that rule, that different abilities can be used, is great, and I do use that. So if we go back to the characters that are present, what I did is I just have their names here. Nuit Noire is in French, Night Pitch. Night Home in French I translated by Noire Maison. And here you have the little quick description of what they wear. Why do I write that? Because that's a thing that I hate inventing on the spur of the moment. I'm just not good at it. I hate it. I find it stressful almost. You have to give a physical description real quick, and I don't know. I really, it's a big mental effort for me, strangely. So I prefer to have something written down first. So that's why I use some time to do that. Here are their motivations, what they want. So Lassifard Nuit Noire, he wants to know what is this strange alliance. I already had written that in my previous prep. I just ported it over here because I'm going to use this notepad almost exclusively during the session. So he's also curious about Erlaber. He wants to know if Micariol can vouch for him. That's if it is revealed to him that Micariol knows him and that they come from the same place in Alberathor. You see, there's an interesting thing about this little part here, is that Erlaber, in the story of Wrath of the Warden, it is said in his background that he came to Thistlehold with a wife and kids, and that the wife and kids died horribly like a few months ago, like 6 months ago, something like that. And it was, decided that it was an accident or something like that, but actually he used them for some kind of ritual. So this man is completely crazy. And the fact that his wife and children died might be mentioned during this supper. That's something that I might use. And I don't want to put too much suspicion on Erlaber because I don't want him to become a suspect before he becomes a real bad guy. So, but I like just a really slight, just something to sort of muddy the water, because they noticed during the last session that Erlaber is really a greedy man that's really wants the precious things from the forest, and it's not someone that you really want to get really close and intimate with. He's not really friendly. So they noticed that. So now that would add something. There was some tragedy in that guy's life. And of course, players being what they are, they might instantly think that there's something fishy going on. But they won't be able to really get much more out of it. And my escape valve here is that if they do, I don't know, even capture him or something, he has a cult and somebody else can be the bad guy for Wrath of the Warden. But I don't think they will. And if they try, he will probably, as soon as he feels threatened, he will disappear. Because anyways, he has to go in the forest with his crew to get Eox's head. So he will disappear, and they won't, he will be completely under the radar from now on. So that could be interesting. The witch Yagaba, she's impatient for Lassifard to lead and show to all how the forest must be treated, but she's mostly silent and observant during that scene. Those two, they have their motivations come out from I think it's Wrath of the Warden too. There's some place in the book where they talk about these people. They want to convince Lassifard Night Pitch that getting artifacts out from the forest is a bad idea. Adar Gorinder, interesting character. Uh, Little description here. I have a portrait for him. This is who he is in a bullet point, and he believes that trade in ancient artifacts must cease because it's too dangerous. So that ties really well with the story up to now because of the Copper Crown, there is right now a dangerous artifact in Thistlehold because people brought it back. It's sort of something obvious that the people are realizing is that things are getting dangerous because of this greed. And he is one of the people that says we should stop this. And Lassifar, he went into the forest, he found the Twilight Thistle, and that made him rich. And so I think Adar Gorenda will be of the same opinion as Cornelio from the Ordo Magica, saying that we must go slowly in the forest, we must be respectful of the barbarians, and we must be prudent, but we must explore it and find out what lives in it, what kind of interesting plants and resources we can get out of it. And we must exploit it as a natural resource, but we must not mess with the tabooed land and the ruins. We need to leave those alone. So it's like a half and half. It's not we won't go in the forest at all. It's just let's not touch ancient things that are better left undisturbed. So that's this man. I think that during this scene, they also want info from the PCs. That's what they want. They want to know what's going on in detail. And once they do, or at least if the PCs give enough information that they feel satisfied, then the discussions will become a bit more discussions of politics between them. Without revealing everything to the PCs, the PCs will witness what is the power dynamics between these characters that are the leaders of this city. So that will be an interesting thing for them. I think they'll be very interested. They've met the Ordo Magica, they've met Father Elfeno, they know that there's a witch hunter at the monastery. They've met a few notable barbarians. Now they're going to meet the Lassifar crew, the Lassifar clan. So that will be very interesting. And I added here Agramai Kalfas because since his nephew died, he will have been invited by Lassifar as like a polite gesture. He doesn't know that Lodome already went by his office. So Agramai agrees with Lassifar on most things. He's playing, his role. So he's playing the fun guy, the optimistic guy, the loyal guy, but he's just taking notes, basically, mentally. Magister Tobela will be there too. She has already said in previous scenes what she has to say, so she will be a bit more passive. So we will start with this scene, and as I said in a previous video, I really like to have this part of the story, since it's winter, it's snowing and all that. I really want to put this cloak and dagger politics ambience, and things are moving slow. Nobody's going to make a big move because it's winter. So everybody is sort of getting information, putting their pieces on the board. That's the ambience that I want to get out of this scene. Okay, so let's go to the next. Kullinan's plans. Insight before intervention, knowledge before know-how. That's from the book. Because I have to remember, this guy is really complex because he knows so much, he's seen so much, he basically knows everything about this setting. He doesn't know much about Davakar, but he knows quite a lot. He's seen some elves. He went to see barbarian witches. He's seen a lot. And during the war, he wasn't a participant, but he saw what happened. He did some research on the Grey Death. He was one of the co-founders of the Ordo Magica. He's a very independent and powerful figure, and a loner. And he he suffers from hubris. He thinks that he's more intelligent than everybody else, and that he will find a way to use corruption as a source of power and not something that will destroy you. So what makes him very complicated is that it asks of me to know what is corruption in my game. What is it really made out of? What's the relationship, like a bit more detailed than what's in the book. In the book, it's very symbolic and very minimalist, the description. What am I going to make it for real in my game? It's really important because he's looking into that. So if they talk to him or if they interact with his plans, they will get closer to information about corruption. So what I wrote here is basically the essentials. Believes that corruption to be a potential source of power, doesn't want to use it or experiment with it. He just wants to understand it for now. The page references. He has witnessed the Queen's mother's illness. Undeath is a key to understanding corruption. He thinks undeath is a natural phenomenon and causes corruption as a natural byproduct. That's from the book. Mastering corruption is the way to pure magic. That's what I added. That is a fabled knowledge of the ancients. I like that. I decided that because the legend of the first city of Asbarast, I think it was called, east of the Revens, there was supposed to be in this city the use of pure magic, or maybe in Landfall, or there's this idea that in the east where the humans came from, mages could use pure magic. And he's heard of those legends, that's for sure, and maybe even read some reports. He wants to understand how can this be. And when he saw what happened to the Queen Mother, he sort of realized that undeath is a state, and it's not necessarily corruption that makes you undead. It's you become undead and then corruption emerges from you. That's a bit vague in the book. I'm not sure exactly what I think of that yet, but I already put some hints in the story because Micariol's master, Cargaston, in Albert was studying the Grey Death, and he had some notes about his findings. And he believed that maybe undeath was due to the living body reacting to avoid becoming Blightborn would die and become undead. So it was like a weird byproduct of corruption. Instead of becoming Blightborn, in some cases you become undead. So it's not the same idea, but it's like just a little variations on what could it be. And I don't need to find the truth right now because I don't need it for the story. But I need to have these specialist characters, these lore masters, to have intricate questions about the subject of corruption. Because in the PC group that I'm GMing for, they have lore masters and they're really interested in that kind of stuff. We have an Indiana Jonesy type of campaign with a lot of the efforts are into trying to discover the secrets of the setting. So I need to have secrets there too. So that's just the general gist of it. He's exploring stuff. Kullinan and Ufrinda, what are they doing? Well, he's using Ufrinda's thirst for power as a way to ensure her loyalty. So he's promising her great finds in the forest. All under a veneer of rationality. The veneer of rationality is the fact that it's knowledge before intervention, that kind of thinking. We need to know, we need to analyze, we need to get out there. And so it's very noble, but he knows that Ufrinda deep down wants the glory of the find and wants the riches and wants the power. But he doesn't address her in that sense because he knows that she's more dignified than that. So he appeals to her sense of the fight for knowledge, but he also promises her great wealth and great finds. Kullinan's expedition. He's going to organize this expedition. So they've already went back and destroyed Vild's circle. Vild is the ogre mage of the group of the PCs. And he asked Erfrinda to assemble a team to go back. Erfrinda and Kullinan have told Tobela to shut her mouth and that she will be back with them and that she mustn't tell anyone. It's probably the weakness of their plan. Kullinan spies on the PCs using clairvoyance at Edogai's shop because Kullinan went to Edogai's shop a few times and now he can spy on them there. And at the academy. So when they have little PC meetings at the shop and they sort of plan and organize their moves, I can decide that Kullinan has spied on them and knows. Kullinan and Erfrinda need Erlaber's cash to fund the expedition. Erlaber won't go to the Vale at first. He won't be invited to, and he doesn't want to, he stays a bit back, but he will send Desidera, Clagander, and Sibella to help. Those are his henchmen that you can find in the Wrath of the Warden book. Desidera probably will go as a guide of some sort. She won't be a mage. She won't reveal that she's a mage. And these people are very discreet and wily, and they will steal the exaltation ritual from the copper tubes vault of the Tower of the Blooming Vale. So that's how they will get to it. Clagander will manage to steal the codex. That's what I just said. They will also witness Eox mooing from afar. So this expedition will give all the information to Erlaber that he needs. And once he's read the codex, he will want to go back to get Eox's head. So that will be a further expedition without Kullinan and Erfrinda. Okay, next. The Sellswords of the Sun. That's the main motivation for my PCs right now. Lodome wants to do the service for Deceba. She wants to protect Sarvola in the name of Deceba. She wants to find the Sellswords of the Sun. Edogai is a PC. He's the tinkerer with the shop. He has been harassed. He's also interested in getting rid of these guys. In exchange, Deceba will give them Water of the Dusk, and they can get rid of their corruption because 2 of the party members are severely corrupted right now. So they are very motivated to do this mission. They will do it. That will be probably the main content of the session will be that. So I detailed a bit more what's going on with these guys so I can be ready to drop clues to, I really need to know what's going on so they can interact with this plot. So what I decided is that Baumelo here, he's the witch hunter, he's at the monastery. He has been tasked by First Father Giuseppe Guy, the First Father of the church, to bring Thistlehold back into the fold. So he's Giuseppe Guy's agent in Thistlehold. He has identified Cargoy Salamos as a possible ally and knows his dark secret. He delivered the letter from D to him. D is Giuseppe Guy. He's trying to recruit people that can become allies in the fight for Prios in Thistlehold, and eventually in the in a coup against Lassifor Nightpitch, because the ultimate goal of this of the First Father is to create a theocracy. So, of course, it's completely top secret. But Baumelo is in the know. He's one of these in the upper echelons of the bad guys of the Church of Prios, and so he just used his knowledge about Cargoy Salamos to blackmail him, basically. But blackmail him nicely, because this letter from the First Father brings... It's a bit like, we'll be very nice to you, we know your worth, you're a great soldier of Prios, you must serve your duty, and by the way, if you don't, we'll destroy you. So that's what's going on here. He knows Dolani, because Dolani was a teacher in Indaros at the convent school. He knows him by name. He knows that he's in town, but he's anonymously providing information to Dolani, such as watch on the PCs, like take care of these PCs. They need to get some hurt. And he has asked Kargoy to help Dolani. So that's the reason why Kargoy offered a house to the Sellswords of the Sun. So that's the web of intrigue. So I made sure that Baumelo is really hard to pinpoint. I don't know how they could get to know that, this possible link. Maybe if they do a certain ritual on the letter. But anyways, I'm not here to think for the PCs. I don't care. I just create the world and they will interact with it and we'll see what happens. Then Dolani, the main, let's say it's a lesser opponent, but he's the main antagonist of next session. A next Black Cloak, he's 29, tutor at the convent in Indaos, eager to fight darkness. He was tutor. His description right here. Dolani, he's a very, I added a few abilities for him, but basically he's a whip wielder, a knife play. He has feint, so he's a really quick acrobatic warrior. Dolani believes striking out at heretics now during the darkest season is great timing. He recruits his members at the temple, and in taverns, and on the Toad Square. That's an idea I had that I pretty much like. The darkest season is right now. It's almost like it's winter time. It's around Christmas in this world. There's no Christmas, but Yule. And so that's when Prios is the weakest, and that's when he needs the most that his believers work for him. Like the eternal night is strongest, so we must get out our brands of fire and fight the darkness. And so that's why he's acting now, because for his rhetoric with his sellswords, it's ideal. So what they did, they put fire to the toad. That's done. Next is vandalism against the witch and familiar. After that, they will tail and ambush. Well, at some point, they might tail and ambush a lone PC. They don't want to kill yet. Sometimes in RPGs, I don't know why people always think. I think it's because most RPGs do not have rules for non-lethal fighting, and that's really bad, because every time there's an ambush or even a bar brawl, sometimes it's to the death, and that's really not realistic at all. People don't like killing other people, and even if you're a sellsword of the sun, the people that he recruited, they believe in Prios, and they want Prios's law to be respected. They want heretics to burn. But if people that they are attacking are perceived as being just misguided and just people that you have to bring back into the fold, then just intimidation and sometimes a good beating up is enough. You don't need to kill. So at this point, they just want to really beat them up and tell them, you get out of town or next time it will be bad. There will be some vandalism here. So I found a few phrases that could be daubed in yellow paint on the house. Ogre sorcerer must burn, heretics, elf lovers, stuff like that. I wrote in my previous session prep where that paint comes from. It can be a lead to find them. They are spreading rumors. PCs have taken Gorek's crown. Why? Is the Ordo Magica corrupt? Why are they hiding? Where are the cursed artifacts now? So the Copper Crown is coming back in force in this rhetoric, because you have to remember that a few weeks ago the Mark of the Beast ended. So Thistlehold was living for maybe almost 2 months in terror of the Flayer, this assassin that was killing people all over the place. And when this assassin was found and killed, it was revealed that it was an abomination and that it was an ex fortune hunter that brought into the city a cursed crown. And everybody heard about that crown. Everybody knows about this fortune hunter. It's the most famous expedition to come back in Thistlehold this year. And so people know about it. And of course the sellswords think that this is terrible, and they want to know what's going on with this, and who are these people that killed the abomination, and why is the crown sent to the Ordo Magica and not sent to the Black Cloaks. And so the PCs and the Ordo Magica are suspects for them, and they want to rile up the people. They want people to have a bad opinion of the PCs. They want to eventually be able to rile up mobs of people to maybe storm Ordo Magica, maybe, you know, stone people, put them on pyres, or do some more radical stuff. They need the strength of numbers. And lastly, they will attack the mission house. And now I decided to combine a lot of things here. First, have the attack on the mission house, and then right away they attack the academy. And also, they will have riled up some people, and they will try to stone Wild. And the way I will do that, we will see, will depend, but it will probably be the end of the session. It will be not the very end. I want to play this out during the session, but let's say the second half of the session, after break. Yeah, and concerning breaks, just a little point here concerning breaks. That's what we do in our table. It works really good. Maybe it can be useful to you. We have what we call a code jeudi. Jeudi is my last name. We say a code jeudi, that means a timeout, basically. And what we decided is that we want to play for 1 hour and a half. And when we're playing, people need to be focused, and people need to, you know, no telephones, no whatever. We're playing, you play. And every hour and a half, we take a code jeudi, a timeout for maybe 10-15 minutes. And then we come back and we play. To have this sort of set up right from the start is really useful, because first, being very focused on the game and playing very intensely takes energy and mental concentration, and it's really hard to maintain for multiple hours in a row. So you need a break. That's for one. Second, it gives me time, because I'm sort of GMing 1 hour and a half. You have to set up in your mind, okay, they're going to do this, do that. Okay, I'll play it like this. And you go for a while, and once things start getting clunky and you sort of don't know where to go next, or you need to think about some NPC's motivations, or you need to jot a little map on a piece of paper, or whatever you need to do, usually you'll have a timeout that comes to save your ass. And during that 15 minutes, you can just do what you have to do, get some food, get something to drink, get back into the game, and play really focused for an hour and a half again. And it's been working really good for us. So I was thinking maybe that's something that could work for others. Lastly, about the Sellswords, the HQ, so the one that's described in the adventure, is known to Dolani and his most trusted accomplices only. So the cannon fodder of his group, they don't know that place exists. So let's say like these are like the very dedicated members of this group, and these are just all the youngsters that are very riled up and ready for action, and they get them in meetings in an abandoned house boarded up for plague. So that house is in the poorer part. It's been abandoned. There was some sickness in there, and they boarded up for a year. To let the sickness die, and to let the house clean itself before using it again. So they're squatting that house. So I have pretty much what I need here. With this, I'm able to improvise anything I need to react to what the PCs will be doing. Of course, there's another tool that I built for this session is the timeline of events. That was when I was thinking of what tools do I need? It's the only tool I really needed is a timeline of what are the NPCs doing and in what order, and what is the time frame. Are we talking weeks or days? Yeah, we're almost done. So lastly, I prepared this timeline here. So 14 of Marangai, Kullinan and Infrida return to the Vale, destroy Wild's circle, make their own. 15, Sellswords at Toad Square, feast at Night Home. That's where we're at during the game. We're starting there. And during the night, Sellswords at Witch and Familiar. They will do vandalism there. Maybe Mirizin sleeps there, the barbarian of the group. So maybe he will be aware. There might be some you know, a bit of action there. I would really like that PCs be split up and need to face multiple sellswords, but alone, and you know, have some action there. The next day, a very dark, overcast sky announcing snow. Eufrinda takes care of Tobela. She checks on her. So if they go see Tobela, they will meet Eufrinda. And then for these days, darkness and heavy snowfall as never seen before. So that's a dramatic element because it sets the tone. It makes this part of the adventure special. A city-based adventure with a lot of snow didn't happen at our table yet. I really like that because it's you know, it clouds visibility. It makes things the sound doesn't go as far. It's sort of everything's muffled. So it's perfect for cloak and dagger stuff. And it gets dark really quick because of the thick clouds. So life is at a standstill. Vernam gets location of the tomb, shares info with Micariol, maybe an encounter with an elf. Because Micariol has been talking to Vernam, he knows Vernam is in contact with elves. So I might have a scene where he meets the elf and that they tell him firsthand, you need to get that copper crown back to the tomb and we'll tell you where that tomb is. So that could be nice because I want Vernam to eventually get killed if possible. So it's good that Micariol meets this elf. We'll see what happens. Sellswords on the academy and on mission house. So the attack will come at the end here on the 19th of Marangai. Eufrinda goes through Meira to hire a team. Erlaber henchmen hired. Sellswords spread rumors. Okay, so the rumors I already talked about. This part here is just in case they ask around to know what's going on in town, blah, blah, blah. Maybe they will do some clairvoyance and realize that their circle in the Vale has been destroyed. They will know that somebody went back to Temper. They might even see the other rival circle. So they might ask around. So I need to know what's going on. And on the 20th, Kullinan and Eufrinda leave for the Vale using 7 Leagues Stride. Baumelo meets Lodome and takes crown and clear PC's names from rumors. What I want is to have these rumors about the PCs make people suspicious of them at the same time that there's some vandalism on their house. So they've been targeted by religious people. And when things get hairy, Baumelo comes and says, hey, let me take that hot potato off your hands. Anadea and Arkel fight at the salons and Anadea quits the church. Lodome has met her, so she can know about that even if they don't see that scene. But we'll see. Maybe they'll be in the salons for, you know, by chance. We'll see what happens. But I just wrote it here because I wanted to have it happen right now. Because after that, if all this gets resolved, if the sellswords get you know, taken care of, then we can go down in real downtime, where I will just fast forward a few months, and the player characters will just say what they want to do during those months, and we'll start the actual Wrath of the Warden. Either that or Tomb of Dying Dreams, depending on what they want to do. So I was thinking of spreading this action over many days, many weeks, but I decided, I don't know, I really like the idea of very dark nights and days, very exceptional snowfall, something that feels like an act of God. And so I can't have this snowfall last for months. So I decided to condense all of that into a more intense escalation of rumors, vandalism, attacks and stuff that leads to a showdown, a resolution, and then we go to downtime. So there you go. So that was my prep for session 37. The game is the night after tomorrow, so you'll have a session recap video coming up probably next weekend. If you want to support this channel, if you like these videos, please head on to Drive-Thru RPG, find Playing with Goblins. It's an adventure that I wrote for Symbaroum. Check it out. has a complete goblin village, fully detailed, so it might interest you. And of course, a little comment, a little like, and all that stuff always helps too. So with that, take care. Don't stress out on your prep. Keep it tight, keep it light, and see you next time. Bye bye.